Hi, and welcome to this presentation of Information Politics, an article authored by Thomas H. Davenport, Robert G. Eccles, and Lawrence Prusak. We begin with some background information on the article. These authors researched 25 companies over a 2-year period, and several of the companies are well-known household names. The authors discovered 5 primary models of how information is managed, and after defining each model, evaluated their relative effectiveness along several dimensions, such as information quality, efficiency, commonality, and access. In the end, they determined that managers have incomplete and non-normalized information, and that, like power, information exists in an organization but is owned, and those who have it do not wish to share it. The authors advised the reader to recognize which model may be either in place at an organization or perhaps best suited for it, and then make an active choice to follow it. The authors provide the reader with methods to manage the politics of different situations. Let's begin with our survey of the 5 information models. The first model is known as technocratic utopianism. The authors contend that the owner is traditionally information services or information technology, and the approach is to build a database with minimal redundancy. The assumptions for organizations using this model is that technology will solve all problems. However, organizational and political issues don't exist in these organizations, and as such, truly typify the nature of utopia. Approximately 1/3 of the firms analyzed in this study use this model, and participation, as you might imagine, by IT is very high, however very low by others. The model succeeds because it generally ignores the function of politics. The second model discovered by the authors is anarchy. In this model, no one owns information at the corporate level. Results from other attempts that fail is generally how anarchy is present in an organization. It's not generally chosen. There are several organizations that meet this criteria. However, the authors did not quantify them in their study. In an information model using anarchy, everyone generally has to participate because everyone typically manages their own information, no one shares, and no one truly has the full picture of anything. There is really no political nature for an anarchy model because there's no worrying about what anybody else knows or doesn't know about. The third model is feudalism. Individual executives in a feudalism system own their respective pieces of data, and every department head decides what's best for them. The assumptions here is that there is a strong divisional autonomy within the organization, and that specific product choices are made by individual lines of business based on budgets or based, frankly, on whatever criteria that business owner cares about. It is unfortunately the most prevalent model in the study, and in these models, many folks participate, however they do so in isolation. It's a very destructive model politically, as islands of information and alliances get formed amongst executives. Again, really not enabling the business to grow because no one person or one department has full visibility into anything. The fourth model, which is one that's actually ultimately promoted by the authors, is monarchy. In this model, the CEO or his or her delegate typically owns the information structure, and as such, the power that goes with it. This model is all about control and is often employed when a power shift is underway, either internally or perhaps through a merger or acquisition activity. Like the model we discussed several models back, it tends to lead to anarchy when the individual holding all this power departs or is replaced. Its prevalence is unstated in the article, and its participation generally is by fiat. The CEO or his or her delegate decide this is what we're going to do, and there are no questions asked. Politically, this model attempts to eliminate politics through strong central autonomy and authority. The final model, also cited as quite popular by the authors in this study, is federalism. In this model, there's a strong central team or individual displaying information systems leadership. High degrees of negotiation and cooperation are generally used to bring potentially competing and other groups that don't want to cooperate together. This model is adept at recognizing the role of politics in an organization and as such, generally requires strong negotiation skills in the leaders that run it. Like monarchy, it is a preferred model of information politics and information organization, and its participation generally is organization-wide as it's embedded in the culture of an individual company. Federalism views politics in an organization as necessary and legitimate and is best positioned to be successful. Once these models are defined by the authors then go on to talk about different criteria or different characteristics that individuals or leaders can use to manage such politics. The first is all about selecting a preferred information state. Now, the authors talk in this space about how multiple states are generally not recommended, although several large companies may wind up employing such concepts in different divisions or different subdivisions that don't have a central governance model. The quality of information is the most important factor in predicting the successful adoption of any given model. And given a choice, as mentioned earlier, monarchy or federalism are preferable. Let's take a deeper dive into why that may be. Monarchy has that common language which gives it strong direction and support, is highly efficient, and generally, as we talked about, attempts to eliminate politics through strong central autonomy and authority. Federalism provides that sense of empowerment and encourages active participation by all, generally works best with managers, as we talked about, who are skilled negotiators, and enables the greatest possibility that access and distribution of information will occur. Federalism acknowledges the role of politics and therefore is best positioned to succeed it. Matching the information politics to a general organizational culture is important. Free-flowing information will not change an organization's culture, but in fact the reverse will. Assuming that changing the way information flows will have a meaningful impact on culture is a fallacy and should be avoided. Culture generally is the long pole in the tent and therefore the last thing to change, most difficult thing to change. In essence, that's why we're all in this program here at Penn in Organizational Dynamics. In organizations where information is currency, power and influence, it will be hoarded. And culture oftentimes encourages the very silos of information that often inhibit the realization of its stated goals, in a weird sense of irony. Practicing technological realism is the third point or the third method the authors provide for dealing with information politics. They encourage us to keep the efforts on change focused. Going too big too soon can derail change efforts. Really getting to the heart of what needs to change, finding sponsors in your organization who can help promote that, and getting some early wins are key here. Now, this report was issued in 1992, and at that time stated that 5% of an organization's information was electronic. I suspect in 2019 that number has certainly grown significantly. I'm generally in agreement with the authors here that the firms still struggle with large-scale information projects and programs today. The key to success here is to build on common, open, and standardized platforms. The fourth method the authors advise those wishing to challenge and conquer information politics to employ is electing the right information politicians. Departmental managers or owners of information, not necessarily system or technical owners, are the ones that are truly primarily responsible for carrying out and delivering on an organization's day-to-day mission. Never underestimate the importance of such soft skills like persuasion and negotiation in appointing these information politicians. Experienced executives and senior leaders need those same skills to be successful in complex organizations. Finally, the last piece of advice the authors provide here is to avoid empire building. There really is the need to resist an urge to centralize the responsibility for any one system to one person's role. Establishing the right amount of segregations of duties and checks and balances in this system, like any other system, is equally important. Organizations must ensure the highest level of data quality exists throughout their system as well, or it will simply be a garbage in, garbage out problem. IT needs to see itself as an organizational enabler and not become the empire inside the organization. The key takeaways the authors want us to take are summarized as follows. Politics and organization are real, and as such, information politics are just as real, difficult, and time-consuming. One must be able to recognize what model of information politics and organization is using before attempting to change anything about it. Changing that organization's posture on information politics requires a culture to change and cannot be done at the technical level, despite how much money and how much time is invested by organizations. Finally, leaders that will be effective at making these paradigm shifts will struggle, and key skills of negotiation, influence skills, and frankly, the ones we're all learning here in Penn's Organizational Dynamics program will be key if they wish to succeed. Thank you for your time, and good luck in your studies.